I'd say printing is the best part of it though. That's like the creme de la creme right there. I've come to realize like you don't need to go far to make a good photo. You're never really failing, you're just learning how to do something differently.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, man?
How you doing? Good?
How are you, man?
I'm good. Another walkie-talkie. Got the homie McAndre. McAndre, introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, where you're from, and what you shoot.
Sure. I'm McAndre from Queens, New York. Born and raised. And I shoot street. These days, I've been like kind of working in projects, so like I've been like shooting a lot. But I'm trying to get back into like the roots of like just shooting in Jamaica a lot more. It's pretty much where I spent a lot of my childhood, like middle school and stuff like that. Like it was great. It's changed a lot since like I've been here, honestly. So I'm like, dang, I gotta like relearn the routes and stuff like that again. But it's still pretty sick.
How often do you come out here to shoot? Like, let's say in the past 3 months.
Probably like maybe like twice a week. Yeah. So I've been getting like some good stuff. I haven't shown anything yet, so like it's still like on the DL. Looking good, man.
How long you been shooting street?
I think I've been like shooting street for about, I got back into it like, you know, like kind of like roughly 2020, like after like the pandemic happened. But before then, I was shooting it very loosely, but like I didn't have like, I wasn't good, I would say. Dude, I had like an AE1. Oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Hey, it don't work.
Hey, my boy.
You understand?
What's up, bro? This little film camera. It's pretty cool, right?
Back in the days?
Yeah, the old school John. Yeah. Yeah, I started off with like an old like Canon A1 that I had that was like gifted to me. And you know, I went through all like I guess the street photographers like woes as far as like, you know, you shoot like Kodak, Portrait 800, everything. Just like trying to learn the flows. Like I remember I made a goal for myself when I first started, like every Saturday I would walk straight down and just like shoot all the square parks. I would start at like, I think it was like 42nd in Bryant Park. I would go down to 34th and Herald, then to Madison Square Park, Union, Wash, and then eventually I would end up somewhere in Chinatown. And I just do that every Saturday, like routine. I kind of just fell off a bit. I started shooting like a little bit more like editorial stuff. So that's when I kind of got into like the fashion scene and stuff like that.
Where did the interest come from?
I always had a camera on as a kid. Like my mom like had like this like a Fuji Power Shot. That thing had like a 300x zoom. In middle school, I would always like mess around with it and take like obscure photos with it, like of like family members and stuff like that. So I always had that available, and then like slowly like I started just like taking it with me, like when I went to hang out with friends in high school. They kind of like knew me as that guy who like took photos and like skated and stuff like that. That's when I used to like skateboard a lot.
So you had the camera, what was like, okay, street photography is what I want to shoot?
I think I kind of transitioned that because like I just love the art of just like taking photos, honestly, and just like enjoyed being outside, meeting people, enjoying the company of just like creating art, I guess you could say. It just started as like a hobby, and then it turned into like a love.
When I was looking through your Instagram, I saw all of those like fashion shots and stuff.
Yeah.
What made you start shooting street again when you were like?
Honestly, I just got sick of it. I was just sick of digital and like the politics of like fashion, and it just got too much for me. Waking up to like a call card every day at like 7 a.m., having to like produce all this work that just meant nothing in like a month. It just wasn't great. It wasn't a great feeling at all. Shooting street kind of just felt freeing again, just knowing that I'm at liberty of the environment and like I have control of everything as far as like what I could take photos of. And just on top of that, we just started like shooting film as well. It just made it a lot easier just to be like almost distant with your work, but like closer at the same time, if that makes sense. You take it and you don't know what you got until you come back later. So it's like that element of like creating a body of work that like that actually you're more connected to. It feels more rewarding and fulfilling, especially like when you like kind of get a great photo you didn't even know you had. or you see it in the viewfinder and you're like, damn, like I know this is gonna be good. And then like, it's just like that clarity of knowing that you got it. Especially on film, like, bro, like this shit is so unforgiving. I pretty much am like so like locked into like my darkroom situation. I shoot it, develop it, I make my contact sheets, you know, I do all that fun stuff. Ooh, that was good. Yeah, I just really been enjoying the art of printing, you know, like it's just like a matter of just like creating the habit all over again and just like kind of getting back into it in that aspect. I really enjoy like having like a set routine. It makes me very efficient. I'm like anybody who knows me, like I definitely like prioritize functionality over everything. Like if it's not functional and it doesn't make you efficient, forget about it, bro. It's not worth it.
In a way that kind of contradicts shooting film. So how do you balance that? Like you want to be as efficient and functional as possible, knowing digital cameras are probably the most efficient thing to shoot,
Absolutely.
Especially street.
It's very counterintuitive, honestly. But there's just something about just this format that you can't really do in like kind of like a digital workflow. Like as far as like even just like the way the camera feels in your hand, like the connection to like when you're pressing the shutter button, it just feels so much different. And I feel like I'm willing to sacrifice that aspect of it just to, whatchamacallit, Oh, I'm sorry. At least for me, like, it's something I'm willing to sacrifice because, like, it's just something you can't replicate, even, like, in, like, a digital workflow, like, just, like, as far as, like, just the quality of photos as well. Even though it is more freeing and, like, you have more access, as people say, like, you know, it's like you're holding unlimited film in your pocket. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's the one thing that kind of keeps me grounded in like this kind of digital age, you know. Not many people know this about me, but like I do, like I'm studying computer science, so like I'm in front of a computer all the time. So I guess this is kind of like my way to like get out from that environment and just kind of like enjoy life a little bit more, because like pretty much like half of my day is just like in front of a screen. But like just kind of like getting away from that, spending like what, 12 hours in the darkroom for no reason, just like making something. It just feels great. I feel very refreshed. I'm also very grateful to anybody who bought prints for me recently during my last print sale. I love you guys. Looking good, brother. Oh. Hey there, guy. Hi. What are you trying to do? Don't open the window. I almost never shoot verticals, but you got me shooting verticals today, dude. Bye. I tell people I only shoot like 5 shots per second during daylight. They're like, what? That's it? You don't flip around? I'm like, nah, bro. It's like, it makes it a lot easier to focus on just shooting. You know what look you're getting, how solid you want the subject to be. Because I know some people like to shoot like 125, 250, stuff like that. But I know myself, I'm like a run and gun kind of guy. At least when I'm in Manhattan. Usually when I'm in Queens, I shoot a lot slower. But like, it's still that habit of just like, you want to keep it consistent. And I feel like it's way easier to flip your aperture versus like kind of like reach around and just like fiddle with your shutter. What are like some ways that you kind of learned or grown your skills in zone focusing? I think at first I would always stay above f8, kind of just like test the distance a lot. I would kind of memorize like the amount of the person that was inside the frame whenever I looked through it. Like I would set a distance and then I'll look through the viewfinder, and let's say like they're about like 3.5 feet away, right? Like usually on 28, you see like maybe like their head and like a little bit of their torso, like just this much. And if you kind of like memorize that and you always set it the same way, I want to say 90% of the time you're gonna hit focus every time. at least they're gonna be very much in focus. They might be a little soft depending on where you are on the scale. But usually you're always gonna get it. Just like as far as like kind of learning it, I would always just set the distance on my lens, and then I would go and then check it. I'd be like, oh, this is 5 feet, this is 7 feet. And then even when I'm not shooting, I'll just kind of like look at it. I'm like, oh, hey, I think that's like 4.5 feet. And then I'll go and bring out my camera, check it. And then if I'm right, or if I'm like in the ballpark, it will kind of give me that reassurance. And then now I'm like kind of good at it where like I could just like spot it immediately, and I can just throw the focus where I need to. I usually flip between 3.5 feet to 7 feet. That's like usually like my range. And if I really need to, I'll throw it to infinity, but like it's not always though. I'm trying to get better at shooting like bigger scenes, including more subjects. Yeah, just include more subjects. That's why I really look up to like Kazu's work. He does like a really great job of just like putting multiple subjects together in like kind of like a really wide frame. And it takes like a lot of skill to do it well, honestly, and not make it look overwhelming. It almost looks very poetic. I'm like, damn, bro, like how do you do this shit? Yeah.
How do you feel like growing up in Queens, growing up a New York kid has kind of manifested itself in your photography?
Oh man, I feel like it's kind of given me like almost an edge, but also like a double edge, if that makes sense. As far as like, I kind of know like the do's and don'ts and like where to go and stuff like that. But at the same time, you kind of feel too close to like at least to your home turf, where like you don't want to shoot it as much. That's why I feel like I waited too long to actually come back. And I kind of lean on just like going to Midtown, Manhattan, or I just go like downtown in the city a lot. Cause like, I feel like I just wasn't comfortable shooting here. Cause like, you know, people are not used to that at all. It's a different environment. People react differently as well, but it's just kind of like doing it with grace, trying to enjoy the things that you already have, you know? You don't need to, something I've come to realize, like you don't need to go far to make a good photo. Like you could go right outside your house. Like, you know, I feel like just like living in Queens, I kind of take it for granted knowing that it's always here, but I've never tried to make any like quality work. Especially here, like this is like, I used to run up and down this block with like all my friends. Like just like every time I walk down here, I kind of like subtly reminisce about those crazy times. Not really crazy times, but they're just like fun times, you know. Kind of makes me wonder like where all those guys I grew up with went.
What's one thing you think you took for granted growing up here?
Probably like the landmarks that used to be around. I wish I had picked up the camera a lot earlier, just so I could kind of keep those like those areas, I guess. I don't know, like buildings or like popular locations I used to go to. There's this like pharmacy by like this place I used to live over on 198th Street. They rebranded twice, and then they finally closed for the first time. I just passed by it like a week ago. I was so sad. I was like, bro, like I used to go there and get ice cream sandwiches as a kid with like my sisters and stuff. My dad would always just like kind of like take us up the block, because it was probably like maybe like 2 avenues away from where we lived. Yeah, we'd do that like routine. Like every Sunday we'd go get ice cream sandwiches, take a little walk, like after church and stuff like that. I was like, bro, this is awesome. And then it just closed for good. And there it is, gone, like it never existed. It's actually just an empty lot now. I was like, wow, that's crazy, man. Actually, Rigsby said it best, you know, like it would be a disservice to let somebody, I'm probably paraphrasing, but a disservice to let somebody else document the place where I lived versus like me doing it myself, you know, like, it's like, why do I even own a camera if I'm not gonna like really document like wherever, you know, where I stomped around, you know, I shoot the shits. Yeah, I've been like, I'm in like kind of like the I guess, for failure of better words, like I guess you could say the season of my life where I just want to start showing a lot more and kind of curating something that'll last longer than me, you know? That's why I'm like a huge fan of like Andre's work. Like, I know you did like the walkie talkie with him before, and like I pretty much watch that thing like at least like 3 times a month. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's just so good. Just the way like his mantras, the way he talks, like just the conviction in his voice.
Speaking of shows, I feel like you go to a lot of like talks and shows.
Oh yeah,
like
I do.
Around the city.
I always try to make a habit of just like trying to see work, and also just go to a place where I could hear like the mindset of somebody who's just like actually like actively working and doing stuff. I feel like when you catch them like right as they're finishing it, or maybe they're still working on something, you can still see like the fire in their eyes, man. What's up, brother?
Are you just passing by?
Yeah, bro. We're filming a video right now. Okay. Actually, let me flick you up while you're here.
So what's y'all like? Where y'all going to?
Yeah, that's fine.
So good.
Right side.
Fire.
Coming?
Yeah, let's do it. Follow you down to go inside? Yeah. It's actually incredible. I've never been to like an interactive like exhibit. It feels a bit sacrilege to touch.
Earlier we talked a little bit about community, and you bring people along for shows and stuff.
Yeah.
How important is like having that community here?
Oh, I feel like it's imperative that you do it. It's so important. I feel like to grow as an artist, like you need that. If you don't have it, I feel like you can only go so far as an individual. But yeah, community is so important, man. Even though like people overuse the fuck out of it, and like it almost like it's like a word that almost means nothing now. Because like there's some people who use that word just to push themselves up. The art world is always very egoist, you know. I've met some guys who got like a god complex in this shit. I'm like, bro. I feel like at least over the last 3 months or so, like there's been a lot of great things happening to me. Like as far as like, cause like I really like changed the way I interact with my daily life and like my headspace, which allowed me to like, I guess, attract more opportunity. Something an old friend used to tell me a lot is like, your thoughts and your frequencies dictate the way you live your life. How you are in your head and like how you think about yourself, the words you say to yourself really become impactful to like allow you to enjoy the life that you want to have, or like at least like run the course that you want to take. I kind of just wake up every day and I just remember that I'm just grateful just to, you know, be able to open my eyes to see another day. You know, it's like kind of like me just like understanding like, hey, like I'm allowed to wake up another day because there's still something I still need to do. Or I haven't met the person or maybe made the photograph where like whatever entity is telling me like, hey man, this is the end of the line, that kind of thing. I don't know, this is sounding a little bit morbid, but like, follow me here. There's a reason for everything that I'm doing, and kind of like the reason why I'm like still around to do stuff. I remember I was talking to somebody the other day, like they were like, telling me like, hey man, like I really don't think I know what I need to do, or if I'm going down the right course of action or something like that. I'm like, bro, like, you never really are gonna know what's actually for you and what isn't. You just have to like trust that you're always doing the right thing. You know what I mean? There's always gonna be some like unknown avenue that you're gonna have to go down, like somebody else hasn't done before you. But it's just like a matter of perspective, you know? So I feel like being on the right frequency to like even attract like the right things to come your way is like really important. If you really want to become a great photographer, put yourself around people who do great work, you know what I mean? That are actually doing it.
How much film you shooting these days? How many
A
rolls you
lot,
cut?
actually. Oh my God.
Like a month, in a given month.
Any given month, about 25 to 30 rolls. I think that's
You're
pretty
printing all of them?
Most of them, yeah.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot. Like the amount of shooting, and then the amount of printing. Printing takes a lot of work. What keeps you driven to kind of keep going with all that stuff?
Oh, man.
It's a lot of work. What makes it all worth it?
I just kind of get the serotonin out of it. I don't know what it is. Like, it just feels great to just shoot it, just go through all the steps of just like developing. I'd say printing is the best part of it though. That's like the creme de la creme right there. Just like seeing your photos just come to life. Like after you expose it with the light sensitive paper, you put it in the developer, you slide in the stop bath, the fixer, and then you bring it out into the light and you look at it. and you're like, damn, like I made this. This is like a real thing. Like this is no longer a photo, it's a print. It's so freaking cool. Like every time like I talk about it, I just get so like excited. I'm like, bro, like I just want everybody to experience it. Like that's why like at some point I wouldn't even mind getting into teaching, just like to teach darkroom printing, because like it's so fun. Printing is a dying art, but it's still like one of the best way to make images still. They still can't replicate it.
How do you think the printing has changed the way or impacted the way you photograph?
So I kind of, the way I shoot, I kind of edit before I develop, if that makes sense. I've been shooting a lot of foam-pan action because I bulk roll a lot my film now. So I shoot that, it's a 400 speed film, but I push it one stop. But I also shoot it half a stop over exposed. So like it kind of gives me like an extra low contrast, so when I print, I don't have to like push as much time to expose it. So I kind of get the same image, the same consistency every time. And also the way I even develop my rolls is actually very unique as well. Like I actually overdevelop it a bit as well, like maybe by like another 30 to 45 seconds. I think this is the one. It's okay. But like I wish I could kind of get up higher in it. It's kind of crazy how like there's a taco truck right next to it actually. What the fuck?
Let's talk about like your photography inspirations. Like what 3 photographers do you think have kind of like inspired you the most and influenced your work the most?
There's been like a few people, but it's kind of like been a revolving interest. But lately it's been Roy DeCarva, obviously Andre Wagner. He still has me in a chokehold. Bruce Davidson. That's classic, everybody. I for my birthday just this past June, I got his book East 100th Street, and it just kind of set me on fire, man. Like it was amazing.
What from Roy DeCarva's work?
Oh,
DeCarva?
Yeah, Roy DeCarva. He's like an old school kind of guy. He was alive during the time of like Gordon Parks and stuff like that. Focus more on like kind of like the relationships and like kind of like documenting like the stories of individuals. Like so, he oftentimes made friends with like a lot of the people that he shot. Took and kind of like was able to enter their homes and make really like descriptive portraits. So like that's something that really stuck to me, because like I remember one time I was just like kind of looking around for people who were just like shooting like kind of different stuff, but that were still like in the same like spectrum of like what I was trying to do. And I found his name like just like through like a little deep dive. Yeah, I feel like those are like kind of like the people who were like inspiring my work at the moment.
Yo, finish the sentence. I take photos because.
Because it feels right. Yeah, that's it. It feels right. That might be interesting. Oh, I just realized I fucked up.
What happened?
I forgot I left my shutter speed at 60.
Dang, those are all gonna be.
Those shots are all probably gonna be blurry.
That's just the aesthetic you're going for.
I guess so. Oh man, I was really popping off for a second too. Manhattan. Always gotta hit it.
We just got into Manhattan. If somebody's like coming to New York for the first time for shooting, where do you recommend they go to shoot?
Oh, that's a good question actually. I mean, everybody's always gonna tell you go to 42nd, 5th, 34th, Herald Square, Union Square, Wash. Those are like the 4 big hot spots. I'd say if it was me, like I tell people go Try to explore more. Go to like 59 Columbus Circle. That's pretty nice. Let's go. 53rd and Lex is really great, like where we are right now. But it depends on the time of day you go. Earlier the better. I've been liking 14th and 2nd Avenue lately. It's a weird area, but you can get some good stuff on there if you play your cards right. Those are like the ones that I would recommend, honestly. Like away from like all the regular spots that we normally go to. Those are really good. Best advice I've ever received. As standard as that, very plain. Just keep going. Whether you feel like crap, you're not feeling good, you feel like you're making terrible work. Maybe your last 6 rolls were blank. Who cares? Just keep going. If you kind of just keep pushing through, the time you've been putting in, the effort will definitely shine through your work. Absolutely. It's like, I mean, who doesn't like a good underdog story anyway, right?
3 words that you want people to associate with your body of work in 100 years.
Damn, that's a really great question. Holy shit. I never even thought about that. 3 words. Impactful. I want to say dynamic, but I don't think that would be a proper term. Refreshing. So impactful, refreshing, and inspiring. Because I feel like one of the main reasons I guess like that's kind of like a catalyst of like kind of like making all of this or just being here every day. Yeah, I just want to show that it's really not as hard as it seems. Like anybody can do this. It's just like if you can commit to doing the body of work, it's not that bad. If I keep doing this and one more person decides they want to pick up a camera, I feel like I'll be happy. Even if it's just one more person. Because that's one extra person that's gonna trickle down to another person, and then it's gonna be like a domino effect. Like maybe that one person will turn into 3 people, or that 3 people will turn into 5, and so on and so on. Everything matters, you know? I feel like everything you do in your life has a purpose.
Is there a photo of yours that you're most proud of?
Oh, there is one photo that does come to mind. There's this, it's actually one of the ones it's the one that's sitting on my Instagram right now. It's probably like the only post I've put up in like 2 months. That's actually genuine work. It's the one of like this woman and her like 2 daughters. They're wearing like a ballerina dress. It was actually on this corner that we're walking toward. I seen them from across the way because like they're both wearing matching ballerina dresses and they had Timbs on, which is so funny to me. I was like, yo, this is great. And like the kicker was that like they're both untied. They're just kind of like walking around, like the mom was like on her phone, I think. And it was just like such a beautiful frame right there on the corner. They were just facing me. I kind of just like almost ran in the traffic to get it because I didn't want them to move. So I think I took like 2 frames and that was the one that made the cut, the one that's sitting. I do kind of like, I'm like low-key kicking myself because I cut the feet off a little bit. So I'm like, ugh. That's been something I'm working on lately. Just like trying not to cut the legs or limbs off in photos. It's like so perfect, but then I miss it. Those are those things that I really love about this because like, you know, whether you're never really failing, you're just learning how to do something differently. So like this isn't working, you try something else. Like maybe like this photo works, but maybe I gotta take 3 steps back before I actually do it again. And those are like things that you kind of like subtly program as like you're walking around, making new work and stuff like that. Come.
Mira la.
There we go.
We're gonna end this video here.
Yes, sir.
McAndre, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. Glad to show you around Jamaica, even though we still ended up in Manhattan somehow. Dude, it was awesome. Thanks for having me. You can look me up on Instagram at MacAndre, MVC_DRE. Also to plug a couple other things, Maya Got Lazy. Follow us, submit, support the zines. Appreciate you guys.
All right, man.
Peace.
Now when they see us in the streets, all they wanna do is take